What was your reaction when you saw David Cameron as he then was, getting out of his armour-plated Range Rover in Downing Street when we knew there was a reshuffle going on?
Astonishing. Surprised. Was he in to talk about something else?
You didn't think for a moment he was likely to be joining the cabinet?
I didn't. I'm pleased that he has done, but I was really surprised, and I think all the political commentators, we've seen the journalist reactions who were stood in Downing Street. I think it's fair to say that everybody has been taken aback, surprised by the decision.
Well, I'm just excited we found a second person who thinks it's a good decision, because we knew Lord Heseltine was happy. Lord Hayward's happy too. What do you think? What do you think Rishi Sunak is?
I'm slightly concerned that you should link me with Lord Heseltine. My views and his have never been the same on most things.
I know, but look, the three of you could all have lunch together now. You can all have a lovely time in the Piers dining room, which is lovely, delightful food and very nice service. Right, look, and all subsidised by you and me, the voting public. Right, let's talk about what Rishi Sunak was hoping to achieve by appointing David Cameron. Was he deliberately trying to insult all of his 2019 intake of MPs by saying, none of you is up to the job, I'm going to have to go to an old bloke who used to be PM to do the job? Or was he trying to appeal to these blue wall seats and to say to the red wall, you know what, I'm not bothering with you anymore, I'm going to go for the Tory Blue Rids Brigade? What was the purpose?
I think the purpose was you had to move... First of all, Suella had to go. Her comments in relation to lifestyle choices and people living in tents were unacceptable to huge swathes of the Tory party and the popular.
They were misquoted, and she was a fool to think they wouldn't be misquoted. She was misquoted. She didn't say homeless people in Britain were making a lifestyle choice. She said we shouldn't go down the route. It's on black and white on Twitter. Shouldn't go down the route of San Francisco and Los Angeles, where people living homeless can be a lifestyle choice, she said.
I watched her full interview, and I've watched it more than once, and the comments that she made and she knew what she was trying to say. Suella is a very intelligent woman. I got a lot of time for her, but she knew what she was trying to say, and she did not realise the sheer scale of offence that it would cause, as I say, not only in the nation at large, but within the Tory party.
Yeah. That said, she was right, though. We shouldn't be handing out tents to homeless people because we're just creating more of a problem. Look, let's move on from that. OK, we know now that David Cameron met with the Prime Minister back Tuesday last week, so a week ago, and was offered the job of Foreign Secretary. So we knew that, James Cleverly was going to have to move. There's no other job he could have gone to other than Home Secretary at that point. Otherwise, it would be a demotion from one of the four great offices of state. So realistically, we knew at that point, Rishi Sunak knew at that point that the Home Secretary was going to be sacked. That was Tuesday a week ago. So it was before, for instance, her article in the Times about the protests on Armistice Day. What is the purpose of bringing David Cameron back, though? What does that achieve? Forget a sacking.
I think it achieves a very substantial increase in weight in terms of Britain's voice around the world. There's no question about that. There is a risk. There's a substantial risk because, and you identified just now in the conversation some of David Cameron's failings over the last few years. But in terms of impact, as long as Rishi has agreed the role clearly that David Cameron has, and that he is reporting to Rishi, who is a leaver, has been a leaver, then I don't see a problem in doing that. There is a risk because of parts of Cameron's background, and you referred just now to his leaving government immediately. I think he had to leave a government immediately after that. What he didn't have to do was resign as an MP from Whitney at that point.
Yeah, but no one who's been Prime Minister, apart from Theresa May, wants to hang around and be... Actually, no, be a backbench MP. Actually, I mean, Heath did it, but just to annoy Margaret Thatcher. That was just a personal thing. But what about him being unelected, unaccountable? Now, I know you Lords, you could be held to account in the House of Lords. Peers who serve in government can be called to select committees in the House of Commons. And we've had, Lord Adonis, we've had Lord Mandelson, we've had Baroness Morgan, we've had others. Lord Carrington, famously, in 1979 for Margaret Thatcher as her Foreign Secretary. But what does it look like in this day and age for someone, you know,
As far
Mr.
as-
Rich Aristo, who's left government, made a load of money, come back as a peer to be appointed as one of the key figures in a democratic government?
Can I say thank you very much, because you've just identified the role of a peer in the House of Lords and that they can be held accountable there. Some of your colleagues on other members of the media or other parts of the media have displayed a complete ignorance of what the House of Lords itself does. There are more experts on foreign affairs in the House of Lords than you will ever get in the House of Commons. Former ambassadors, former secretaries of state, former heads of the military in all sorts of different. We even have a former spy in the House of Lords and a former head of the spies. So in terms of accountability, and questions can be asked of the Foreign Office on any given day. They're not selected.
I understand the scrutiny and the role of the House of Lords in terms of the scrutiny with expertise, but we have accountability to the British public, to voters. One of the biggest problems I think a lot of people have had with the Conservative Party and the Cameroonians and everything over the years has been this idea that sort of, don't you worry your pretty little heads, you silly little voters. You're not experts. Trust the experts. We're the technocrats. We all went to top public schools. We know so much better than you. That doesn't fly anymore with us voters.
No, as a grammar school boy, I have sympathy with that point. But you're absolutely right. And I would like to see changes. I'd like to see the House of Lords reduced in size. I'd like to see ministers who are in the House of Lords able to answer questions in the House of Commons. And it may be that this questioning of the appointment of David Cameron does actually result in some constitutional change, that there should be greater interrelationship between the Commons and the Lords for the reasons you've identified. It should be possible for David Cameron to stand at the dispatch box in the Commons.
In terms of where we are in the polls, I think the latest Savanta poll puts Labour ahead by 18 points now over the Tories. Is there anything that was announced yesterday, whether it's David Cameron back, whether it's Esther McVey as the Minister for Common Sense or whatever her nonsense title is there a single appointment there that is going to, Suella Braverman sacking included, that is going to boost the Tories in the polls? Because all I've seen is Reform UK, they're reporting a massive increase in membership. The SDP reporting an increase in membership. Huge number of people. I mean, I don't think we had a single person getting in touch with our show yesterday saying they thought this was a good move, sacking Suella and then bringing David Cameron in. Who is this appealing to, and how will it boost the Tory chances in the polls?
Historically, and I think you recognise this, the people who respond in any set of circumstances are those who are criticising it. It's one of the big problems of holding public inquiries in whatever form. You don't get those who support the actual route that is proposed. So there are groups of people, and there's no question that, for example, the Liberal Democrats are concerned because of the impact of David Cameron on the sort of voter in the middle class, the sort of women 35 to 50, highly educated, residents of Surrey, Warwickshire, Cheshire, those sorts of people. There's no question the Liberal Democrats are concerned at that appointment. But there's also the risk, and I referred to the risk just now, that people who are dissatisfied because of Suella's departure will go off and join Reform. But so it's not an open and shut case one way or the other.
I just don't understand. I think if you're a Remainer, you're angry at David Cameron for holding the Brexit referendum. And if you're a Brexiter, you're angry at the Project Fear campaign and the resigning and not putting it forward. It seems to me he doesn't please anybody.
Well, I disagree with that. And I think there are indications from the reactions around the political world that it does please some people.
Oh, the political world?
I was a Remainer, but I would support Brexit because that was the democratic decision.
But he didn't.
There's no question about that. And Rishi Sunak is going to have to hold David Cameron to be responsible in terms of negotiations around the world, and that will include the EU.
OK, it's going to be fascinating. Well, we hope you'll have a lovely lunch with your fellow peer.
Come and join me sometime.
I'm very happy. It's a lovely dining room and very, very cheap.
It is. Good to see you.